Okay.
And there we go.
I'd like to point out something about this phylogenetic tree really quick, too. Is we have... we are supposedly ancestrally related, according to human evolution, to the chimpanzee line, this pan line, the purple one, going up to modern day. Modern day is at the top of this table, this graph here. So we've, yeah. So I guess what my point is we're supposed to be closer related to the chimpanzee than the gorilla, you know. So, yeah. And then even more closely related the chimpanzee than the orangutan and the gibbons, which are really far out. So, you know, that's human evolution for you. And, yeah.
I'm just trying to get the links from your thing. Hang on.
I guess I have a point to make. I really do. I really do have a point to make here. But, it's not, I think I'm going to kill our chat because this thing, you know, I talk about this. It's not really the most exciting stuff to talk about, but we'll get into it. So now, you know, you've seen here, we're going to go into this.
I'm going to post something.
Sure.
Hang on. Wait a minute, I've got my something running here. Oh, I shouldn't have running.
All right.
What's going on? Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay, there. Sorry.
It's all good. We're
all right.
I just wanted to point out for the audience something I thought of the other day, because we've talked about this Littlefoot skull in the past. You know, here's your side view compared to the juvenile gorilla skull. The mandible, the lower jaw here looks quite alike. Even the upper jaw here looks quite alike, and pretty much every feature. I mean, this skull, it was deformed slightly by the fossilization process. The skull's cranium was pushed forward. So basically my point is here is, like, as we saw on the chart before, humans are supposed to be more closely related to chimpanzees here, you know. So here's your chimpanzee skull. Okay, so we're supposed to be related to them. Now, why would the missing link, okay, be closer to a gorilla, obviously, than it would be to a chimpanzee if we are closely related to chimpanzees? Obviously, this is not a missing link between humans and chimpanzees. So this isn't even something that should be categorized as a missing link between chimps and humankind, just based on the facial features being more gorilla. And overall, the whole skeleton of it is more gorilla. All the literature surrounding the STW 573 says the shoulders and the arm bones are very gorilla-like. So even more than just arboreal, like tree-dwelling ape, like they're actually more gorilla-like. And so is the skull. So you tell me how this could possibly fit into the same theory. You know what I mean? For the concept that, you know, humans came out of this branch, and then this is supposed to be somewhere on the Australopithecine, on this darker blue colored branch here, when really it would look like something more that would be a branch off of the gorilla, the pink, you know, just because of the features of the head. So what I'm saying is, not only is that discovery very gorilla-like, but the fact that it's gorilla-like and is obviously gorilla remains in a lot of these skeleton is...
Sorry.
Yeah, what's up?
No, just I had the... It does matter. It's fine.
Do you dig what I'm saying though? Were you there
Yes,
listening while I was
yes.
speaking?
No, I
Yeah,
wasn't.
so
I was just more yeah.
yeah,
I
do you
cut
see
in.
my point though? Like, I mean, it's more gorilla-like than it is even close to a chimpanzee. The skull. So how does that make sense on this phylogenetic tree? If they're trying to claim that this thing's an Australopithecus, why are the bones so gorilla-like? You know, and this is their
Yeah,
best example of an Australopithecus skeleton. So we've got, you know, there's a situation here where, you know, it's the best example of an Australopithecine claim. And it looks gorilla,
yeah,
not chimp. Not something
yeah,
transitional between chimp. It doesn't look transitional at all, really. You know what I mean? It looks fully gorilla to me. I mean, this side view really, really says a lot. I mean, that's the circumference of the jaw, or the angle of the jaw, the circumference of the angle of the jaw is pretty much exactly the same. Now I'll show you this. I'm going to upload another picture here. But did you have anything to add while I'm doing that? Because I'm going to lose contact.
No. That's fine. You sound good. I can hear you fine.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to find this so I can. Well, they won't let me at it. Got to delete something. Let's see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, while I'm uploading this thing, you know.
I'm just getting this.
How's your dog, man? You're
Oh, he's good. They're good. They're okay. There. I just had to post something there on the
good.
in the chat on my one as well. Hey, so I finally got through it. Yeah, well, yeah, they're basically the skull of Lucy is just an ape, and they get these things and they in pieces and little fragments, and they put them all together. And so what's that? Is that the dark areas that the only part that they found? Is that right on the right hand side?
For this, my friend, they actually found a whole skull, and this is the most complete. Can you hear me? Am I coming through still?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me show you this here again, and it's kind of hard to see, but all right. So here's like you were saying, the majority of these skulls, there's nothing to speak of. You know, all of these things were imagined. Okay, there are pieces of skull fragment that were glued together. In the case of the STW 573, the Littlefoot skull, it's a situation where they actually found this thing encased in flowstone, and they have the whole skull, but it's badly mangled. You know, it's been eroded by the flow of water, and it's been compressed.
They're under a lot of pressure. There's tons and tons of pressure on them, so that skull's been deformed by pressure as well. So but it is just, you can see clearly it's just an ape skull.
Yeah, I agree. Tree dwelling ape, and in my opinion, it's definitely a gorilla skull just because of the features are so alike. The sutures of the skull also match. You can't see them from this view, but here's the point I want to make, and I've finally uploaded this picture. Here you go. So you have the angle of the mandible, and this is what I'm talking about. The circumference of the angle of the mandible is what I was talking about. All right. Now the ramus, okay, it's like the mandibular arm going up, the ramus, and then you have the neck, the coronoid process. Okay, so what I'm talking about here is like the whole thing: the ramus, the angle of the mandible, the body, the neck, every feature of the mandible, the lower jaw, matches perfectly from left to right. Now, when you look at a bottom view of this jaw, the jaw is a little bit wider than what you would expect a gorilla jaw to be. But I think there's a good reason for that. And we'll get into that one of these days when I do a decent discussion on this Littlefoot skull with you, Jason, because I've got a lot of information to come out with. So yeah, basically what I'm saying is here, see the ramus, the light green area. Now, when you look at this thing, it's just so boxy, okay? And you compare the two jaws, it's so boxy. And then you have the angle of the mandible, right? It follows the same exact contour across the back there. It's just a perfect match. So for me, I'm like, it's my opinion this is just a gorilla skull. And it's great that we have the whole skull because then we can actually compare it to something. Because when you have something like Lucy's skull, which is, you know, a few fragments, probably see it better. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, we've got 6 fragments of skull here to speak of. And yeah, so it's completely imagined. Whereas you have this skull and you can't tell anything from it. You can't compare the sutures of this skull to a chimpanzee skull, say. You can't compare the sutures of the skull to a human skull. Okay, and you definitely can't compare it to an Afarensis skull because the only ones of those that exist look like a lot like this skull, which is just fragments glued onto a frame. You know, I mean, here you have the bottom of the STW 573. And as you see, like it's a little bit wider than what you might expect on an ape. However, if you notice the bottom of this mandible looks pretty flat. And I would say it looks doctored. Okay, so you have some definite epoxy or whatever that they use to fill this with, and that they use to reassemble the pieces. Like this is a reconstructed, you know, after they broke the jaw off. So they broke the jaw off of the skull. When they found it, it was fused to the skull. And they break this jaw off, and now I cannot find a photo of the bottom of the STW 573 Littlefoot skull without the mandible in the way. And I've looked all over for it. So when you see this thing, you know, you're going to see this mandible in the way. And right here, you can see the difference. You know, on the left, you have what would be a juvenile gorilla skull. Now, I don't know if the STW 573 was an adult or a juvenile. And that's really beyond the point. The point is how much it matches with a gorilla. Because there are different kinds of gorillas. You know, I had 3 gorilla skulls to choose from to compare the STW 573 to. 3. And it matched. The sutures of the skull matched. And it was like, well, let's go on from there.
From pressure. That's what way I'd look at it. Looks like,
what is that?
It looks like deformation from pressure to me.
Sure. I mean, like the one on the right is a different jaw, okay? So what you're looking at is the one on the left at the top. So it's the top left. And that mandible, you know, it was like, it's a total it's totally been rebuilt. It's a refabrication. And it's just like anything else. I mean, you can see the back of it here. It's just the sutures of the skull match. You have the 3 lines on top. You have the triangular arc at the base of these 3 lines, you know, and then you have the back of the cranium, that crown or whatever on the back of the cranium going across. You know, it lines up perfectly. I mean, you see underneath here on the STW 573, you can see the inside's been pushed in. The bottom of the cranium has been pushed up and in. And if you look at the top of this thing, you can see that there's a line going across the top of the skull. This STW 573. It's the same place where the lines are on the juvenile gorilla skull. And you can actually see the sutures where those lines would have separated, where these sutures would have separated when the cranium was pushed up and into the face of the skull, you know? So it's probably an adult, you know, because it's a bit bigger than the juvenile skull. But the point was, I was able to find a gorilla skull online to even get the sutures to compare to this thing. And that's what's amazing, is that I had that accessible. So,
yeah. Yep. Yeah, that is. It is. It's just outright proof, and the bottom jaw can be explained through pressure deformation in the layer because it's got
sure.
tons of pressure on it, and also you can see where they've put the epoxy on it around the bottom base of the jaw. You can see it's like they've just put epoxy around there and then sort of sanded it a little bit with sandpaper, and then probably added a bit more, and then shaped it, and to make it look.
Yeah. Well, look at the
not
edge of the bottom of it. It's like flat. You can see like a flat edge along the bottom. And like when you look at this thing, you can tell it's just been filled in. So, all it would take is to crack it. And it doesn't even look like it lines up where it should on the skull. Looking at this thing, it's like wider than the skull. It's just out of order. All it would have taken to get that wider jaw is a single break on each side and then to fill it in with epoxy. So, and my biggest thing is that I can't find the dental arcade for the maxilla. So the maxillary dental arcade isn't available, even though they removed the mandible of this full, supposedly Australopithecus skull. It's the only one in existence that's a full Australopithecus Prometheus skull. So you've got to be like, and it's the only AustraloMythecus that's like, I don't know. But yeah, I've said enough, I think. I got nothing more to say about it, I guess.
Yeah, leave it for the other video. Leave it for another time when we do a video on that. Actually, we should do that next week.
I actually sent this. I actually sent a video. I sent the video of the Littlefoot skull, that comparison I made, that 10-minute one. I sent that to Owen Lovejoy.
Oh, okay.
The guy that was in charge of the pelvic interpretation of Lucy at the Hadar site. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if he's going to write me back again, but we've had a good conversation in the past, writing each other and stuff, like in the email. But I don't know how he's going to react. I mean, this wasn't his baby. So, he might be more open about it. Like, yeah, he might think it's fake too. You never know. Yeah. I mean, it astonished me when I found out that Louis Leakey, he didn't believe in these Australopithecine. He didn't think that the Australopithecine were related to humans. He thought that they were interesting finds and they might be real animals, but he didn't think that they were actually part of the human race. I think here we go. Here's Louis Leakey. I don't know if I went into this before.
I'm going to let you talk. I'm going to go get the dog out, and you can just end it, and I'll just say God bless everyone. If you want to end it before I get back, just end it. That's fine. But I'll be back anyway. If you haven't.
All right, brother. If I do, it's been great talking with you, man.
Yeah, thanks for everything. Much appreciated.
Yeah, it was fun reviewing the video. So.
All right. See you, mate. So I'll be back in a sec. But if you're gone, you're gone. All right, I'll see you.
All right, see you in a minute. So you have Louis Leakey here. Standing behind him is Mary Leakey. They're married. They worked in the Laetoli footprint pathway sites, and they worked at the gorge, which is, for some reason, slipped my mind, the name of the gorge. Oh, Old Divide Gorge. Look, it's right there. How convenient. All right, yeah. All right, I'll just read this. Louis Seymour Basic Leakey was a Kenyan British paleoanthropologist and archaeologist whose work was important in demonstrating that humans evolved in Africa, particularly through discoveries made at the Old Divide Gorge with his wife, fellow paleoanthropologist. Now, the majority of the discoveries at the Old Divide Gorge were considered the Homo group. Okay, so you have, I don't know if I have a good picture or a map of where Old Divide Gorge is. I might actually right here. Oh, yeah, there it is. Well, I don't know if you can point it out. There is a few names, but Olduvai Gorge is right beneath Lake Natron and above Tanzania, but you know the words. So anyway, it's above the word Tanzania. So there you have the Olduvai Gorge. I wonder if it's on this cool map too. Yeah. Well, they're near Lake Victoria. So near Lake Victoria, here in the eastern, I don't know. But anyway, there it is, the Olduvai Gorge. And the point is, this guy, Louis Leakey, he was a major paleoanthropologist. Um, he made plenty of discoveries, and especially the Olduvai Gorge, like I said. But even him, he believed that this says right here, and this is from the book by Johansson, the discoverer of Lucy. So this is from, here we go. This is from this book right here, Lucy, The Beginnings of Humankind. So there you go. Got the reference. Now in this book, on a page in the book, Lewis, he reveals that Lewis's fascination with the Homo was obsessive. The Australopithecines, he insisted, while interesting, were not humans. More, they were not ancestors. So you have it right there. Peking man and Neanderthal man were not ancestors either, he believed. That's interesting. It was as if there stretched in Leakey's mind a straight line that went back from Homo sapiens to an ever cruder but always recognizable sapient forebearer. And he was determined to find him. So that's what he's saying he's doing over in Olduvai Gorge. And they did. They found some great stuff. I'm going to put a link in the chat about the Olduvai Gorge discoveries, and you can see them for yourself. But I gotta scoot to get it. So I'll be back in just a second, and I gotta give you something interesting to look at while I'm gone. Look at them teeth. All right, I'll be right back. And I'm back just as quick as that. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. It's my thing. Oh yeah, I'm good. All right. So yeah, here's the skulls. As you can see, the teeth are all different too, but they look pretty boxy on number 1 and number 2, but not on the letter W over there because the letter W is different. Anyway, there's the skulls. Here's the Olduvai Gorge. Hominid. Oh, yeah, just discoveries. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm going to do it to all locations. Okay. Sure. Yeah, that works. All right. And in there, you will see that they did find quite a bit of stuff. Mostly like skull caps and stuff, nothing hugely major. They did find one skull that ended up being claimed to be an Australopithecus skull, nutcracker. So let's see if we can find him on the tree here. I've got another tree. Yeah, maybe. Oh yeah, here we go. So his would have been one of the more claimed, would it be robust Australopithecine? I think so. You have, yeah. You have from Lucy going off to the right and to the left. The left side, that goes up to humankind. And on the right, you go up to robustus and it just falls off because, he died or something. They didn't make it to modern day. All these things, going back all the way. These guys all made it to modern day. Even the gibbons over further to the right. But None of the Australopithecine did. What happened to all the little Sasquatches, man? Why'd they all have to die when the chimpanzees and the gorillas lived? I just don't get it. Couldn't they have hidden with the chimps and the gorillas for a while and stayed safe? Another thing, how did that single Australopithecine creature, this bipedal creature, this hypothetical bipedal ape man creature, this missing link, how did that one genetic mutation that's supposed to be a single generational mutation because of it was supposed to be the result of some chromosome fusion event, which is a single generational thing. So a single generation, a tree-dwelling ape became a bipedal critter and somehow made its own population of bipedal critters. That sounds ridiculous. And it is, and that's why I'm ridiculing it. So I guess I will end it here. Have a great night. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe for tons of fun to come.